The NFL Media Group had a symposium yesterday. They're doing a little bit more today, and I appreciate them giving me the hall pass to do this show. And every TV network goes and has an on-air and off-air grouping symposium. Fox, NBC, CBS, ESPN, we do. And what happens at these is obviously the management team at each spot speaks to the members of the crew, members of the on-air cadre that they put in front of the television sets for you. And also the NFL appears at it with a handful of executives, including the head of NFL refs. Al Riveron was at our symposium yesterday, and he had the floor for a couple hours and went over a whole bunch of rule changes and a whole bunch of points of emphasis. And then he realized that what he was getting to, the filet mignon, which is offensive and defensive pass interference, being reviewable for the first time ever in the National Football League this year. Now then, how did he present in front of us? He presented with 6 or 7 videos for offensive pass interference and 6 or 7 videos for defensive pass interference. He would show them to the group and ask, before you could know whether there was a flag on the play, would you throw a flag for offensive pass interference, yes or no? Half the room would say yes, half the room would say no. Then he would say, if there wasn't a flag for offensive pass interference and this was reviewable, would you put one down for it? Half the room would say yes, half the room would say no.
And there's the problem.
And then he would do it over and over and over again, because not every single one of these is going to be as glaring as the NFC Championship game. Then he did it for defensive pass interference. Same thing. Would you put a flag on the field? Would you throw a flag live for defensive pass interference? Yes or no? If there wasn't one, would you put one down through replay? Now, the criteria for putting one down through replay. I took notes for this. I left my glasses at the symposium, so you'll have to excuse me. Clear and obvious visual evidence. That's it. It's got to be clear and obvious visual evidence. And the interference, if it is clear and obvious, must significantly hinder the individual that's being interfered with, offensive or defensive. Now, with 2 minutes to go, a replay official at the stadium is going to be the one to buzz in the last 2 minutes.
Right.
It's not going to be Al and the NFL front office, because in the 1 o'clock games, there's going to be like 8, maybe some 9, 10 games going on at once. In the one-off games, Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night, Al's going to be paying attention, and on occasion, he says he may chime in. Okay? When they officiate a Hail Mary in the last 2 minutes, it will be, in order to get to replay, in order for them to buzz in, it's got to be beyond what they normally see on the field to actually throw a flag as it's been called for the last 59,
so
60, 70, 100 seasons.
A two-hand shove to the back, essentially.
Like, it's going to have to be like a moment from a brawl. Like, choose a brawl.
Like Anchorman?
Yeah, like Anchorman with nunchucks.
Yeah,
Someone's going to have to hit somebody with nunchucks.
Okay.
Because it's going to happen.
Well, that's good. So it's extreme case. It's getting called.
And in order to even have them buzz in,
right,
in order to get it to replay, it's got to be beyond what they've normally seen on the field for a Hail Mary.
Okay, well, that's good.
In terms of plays, though, that may upset you in particular, Chris, we heard reporting on this, but one of the plays that Al Riveron showed for defensive pass interference,
the one in the Super Bowl,
Brandon Cooks in the Super Bowl. Would you have called pass interference? Would you put a flag down for pass interference in the real play?
No.
There wasn't one. Upon further review, would you put a flag down for pass interference if it was challenged? The answer is yes. The competition committee wants that play from the Super Bowl, upon review, to be pass interference. It was not for the Rams. By the way, who came back the next day on 2 hours rest and called that on the Rich Eisen show that should have been pass interference.
That's bang, bang, though, man.
Excuse me, your humble host. Now, here's where you're going to get upset, and a lot of fans are going to get upset too, because this, in your mind, is not the reason why instant replay has been made reviewable. It's to be made reviewable in order to fix the egregious errors.
Right.
Week 15, Thursday Night Football. Kansas City hosting the Los Angeles Chargers, who are down by 7, needing to win to stay alive in the American Football Conference Western Division. If you recall, if the Chiefs had won that, they would have swept the season series with 2 weeks to go, and they would have been crowned the champs of the AFC West, which they were eventually anyway. But if you recall, with 13 seconds to go, Phillip flips one in the end zone. Mike Williams is interfered with, defensive pass interference, ball set up on the 1.
Right.
And they then ran the same play back-to-back to not only score a touchdown, but go for 2 and win it.
Right.
One of the most exciting
it was awesome.
moments and finishes of the season, capping off a Thursday night football season that had Baker Mayfield's coming out party, Derrick Henry's big night. I mean, Thursday night football was
great.
Off the charts. It was in the last 2 minutes.
Ah.
So they would review it.
And?
Upon further review, the defensive pass interference would stand as called because there's not enough visual evidence of clear and obvious interference to overturn it.
Okay.
But what was clear and obvious in instant replay was Mike Williams pushing off for offensive pass interference.
So they would change the call?
They would not change the call. They would leave the defensive pass interference standing. They would put a flag down on the field for offensive pass interference, offsetting penalties. Try it again, Phillip Rivers.
That is terrible.
Try it again, Phillip Rivers.
No way. Really?
Yep. Correct. Because now that this is under review, under the manner in which it is reviewed, and it has to be coming from the booth in the last 2 minutes, because as we've mentioned before, if coaches are out of challenges, then the reason why this is reviewable is still left wide open as an Achilles heel, because if there are no challenges to try and correct the most egregious error that we've seen in the NFC Championship game, there's the whole point of doing this is moot. It's a waste of time. So they have to have the booth challenge in the last 2 minutes. And in a moment like that, they will review saying there was enough to question whether that was defensive pass interference. While we're here, you got to look at everything under review, just like replay always says, everything's reviewable, including now offensive pass interference. What's not reviewable if there was a hold or defensive
or what about the offsides
illegal
from earlier
contact
in the year? Nope. They would throw down a flag for offensive and make it offsetting,
Try it again. It would
have
still been 28-21. Phillip Rivers tried again from like the 10-yard line.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.